The Snuneymuxw First Nation is one of the largest nations in BC, with a population of more than 1,700. They're part of the country's $30 billion Indigenous economy, and the nation is growing their portfolio, carving out a bold future for their people. Today we're joined by Ian Simpson, CEO of the nation's economic development arm, Petroglyph Development Group. Ian, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Ian, tell us about your organization. What does it do and how long has it been around?
Yeah, PDG, Petroglyph Development Group's been around about 7 years, and in a nutshell, we're the economic development arm for the Snuneymuxw First Nation. So we handle all of the nation's business dealings, manage all of the nation's companies.
So you've worked on all kinds of different projects that promote growth for the nation. Now, there's another exciting project in the works, a new Marriott Courtyard hotel in Nanaimo. What's your involvement in that?
Yeah, so at the beginning of last year, Snuneymuxw through PDG and our partners at CHEK companies broke ground on a 172-room hotel in downtown Nanaimo. The hotel stands in the traditional area called Skukamate, which in Hulkaminam the name literally translates to litter of puppies, and it was home to our domestic wool dogs called Skumate. And these white and brown wool dogs, which are now extinct, were highly cherished by our peoples. Their wool was spun on spindle whorls to create textiles such as nobility blankets, among other things. And this hotel gives Snuneymuxw an opportunity to share this part of our history, to honor these dogs. And the hotel also stands in the same area where in 1854 our Snuneymuxw leadership negotiated a treaty with the colonial government at the time. So to me, it's really fitting that some 170 years later, Snuneymuxw Capital has brought this project to life. Really, the hotel wouldn't exist without us, without our participation, without our capital. It's going to be a really major boon to the regional economy here in Nanaimo, and more importantly to us, to our own Snuneymuxw economy.
Are there any other big projects that you're working on?
Yeah, there's a few. One we've just got started on down on Stewart Avenue at the old Sealand Market site, which, if you're familiar with Nanaimo, it's right adjacent to right across the road from the Departure Bay Ferry Terminal, and it's been a very neglected site for decades now in Nanaimo. So we took ownership of the site in the spring, and we started some major renovations to that whole site, the 3 buildings that are there, including the large Sealand Market building. So just really excited to be revitalizing that.
And now you're one of several nations on the island that, of course, partner with non-Indigenous businesses on projects like these. What's the most important thing in creating these successful partnerships?
I think the most important thing is really just taking the time to develop the relationship. You know, when we first connected with PEG, our partners on the hotel project, their president and CEO Cameron came up to Nanaimo to sit, with our chief and council and share a meal, and we were able just to kind of get to know each other on a bit of a personal level, and develop that level of comfort where we could pick up the phone and have a conversation, and the work they were looking to do here in Nanaimo, and those are the types of things I think some may take for granted, but it can go a long way.
And when you're building the nation's economy, of course, you run into challenges like you do with anything. So what are those challenges, and how do you overcome them?
when it comes to development on reserve lands, it can be tricky. Where, technically, if we were going to be engaging in a long-term lease on reserve lands, because we technically don't own our own reserve lands, we need to go through a very onerous process, which at the end of the day basically requires like ministerial approval to get a development lease in place where we could actually go out and get financing, construction financing, for example, on a project. So there's large barriers like that.
What are your hopes going forward for the economic development of the nation?
To continue down the path that we're on right now. We have so many exciting things going on here, from the hotel and some other developments that we have going on. We're opening a couple of cannabis retail stores over the next 3 to 6 months. We have residential development that we have underway on Park Avenue, and our forestry company is working towards bringing over 3,000 hectares of privately managed forest lands, which is a benefit coming out of our phase 2 of our comprehensive reconciliation agreement. So that's really exciting as well. And the nation's working on a number of other negotiations that'll bring large swaths of very valuable land that some of which will be made available to PDG for economic development purposes.
Right, so there's a lot of projects in the works right now, and it's so interesting to hear about all of them and how you're carving out a bold future for the nation. Thanks so much for taking the time, Ian. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.